Welcome to Brainwaves and Breakthroughs.
From everyday mugs to elegant ceremonies, tea is kind of everywhere, isn't it?
It really is.
It's the world's most beloved beverage, second only to water.
Right.
And today we're taking you on a deep dive into its fascinating history.
Yeah, it's a journey that spans like continents and centuries.
Wow.
We'll be using articles, historical accounts,
Okay.
and even, insights from museums along the Silk Road to kind of uncover how tea evolved from a simple leaf to a global phenomenon.
I love it. And, we'll be exploring some intriguing questions along the way, like, did an emperor really discover tea by accident? How did it travel from, ancient China to teacups all around the world?
Right.
And what are the secrets behind, those elaborate tea rituals that we see in different cultures?
Yeah, those are some great questions. Before we jump in, think about your own tea habits.
Oh, yeah. Good, yeah.
What's your go-to brew? Do you have a special tea ritual? As we uncover the history of tea, you might find yourself looking at your next cup in a whole new light.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
So let's start at the beginning,
Okay.
shall we? Our journey takes us to ancient China, where legend has it that Emperor Shen Nong discovered tea in 2737 BCE. Can you imagine?
Wow.
The emperor is boiling water when a leaf from a nearby tea tree just happens to fall into his pot. Intrigued, he takes a sip and voila, tea is born.
Of course, this story might be, more myth than fact,
Right.
but it speaks volumes about how deeply tea is woven into Chinese culture. It was valued for its medicinal properties and even used as an antidote to poisonous plants.
Really?
So perhaps there's some truth to that accidental discovery after all.
Yeah, that's incredible. It makes you wonder if Emperor Shen Nong hadn't taken that fateful sip,
Right.
would we even have tea today?
It's a fascinating thought experiment, isn't it?
It is.
But what we do know is that early forms of tea, like compressed tea bricks, played a crucial role in ancient China.
Oh, yeah, those tea bricks.
Imagine, using tea as currency.
Wow.
It speaks to how valuable and sought after tea was even back then.
Tea bricks as currency. That's something I've never really thought about before.
Yeah.
Why were they used in this way? Was it because other forms of money were scarce?
You've hit on a key point.
Okay.
Tea bricks were durable, portable, and held their value. This made them ideal for trade, especially in regions where coins or other forms of currency weren't readily available.
Okay.
They were a form of currency, but also represented a standardized measure of value in transactions.
So tea wasn't just a drink, it was an economic force.
It really was.
That's amazing. And speaking of trade,
Yeah.
we can't forget the Silk Road, right? It was like the super highway for tea, spreading it beyond China's borders.
Exactly. The Silk Road was instrumental in introducing tea to the world.
Yeah.
Monks and traders carried these precious tea bricks across vast distances,
Wow.
sharing them with different cultures along the way.
I'm really curious about how different cultures along the Silk Road adapted tea to their own tastes and traditions. Was there a sort of cultural exchange happening with tea as the centerpiece?
Absolutely. Tea was like a blank canvas,
Yeah.
ready to be painted with the flavors and customs of each region it encountered. For example, the Persians, known for their love of spices and rich flavors,
Right.
incorporated tea into their elaborate social gatherings.
Okay.
They would often brew it with cardamom, cinnamon, and other aromatic spices, creating a unique flavor profile that reflected their culinary heritage.
It sounds like tea became more than just a drink. It was a way to share culture and create connections.
Precisely. And as tea traveled further along the Silk Road,
Yeah.
it encountered even more diverse cultures, each adding their own unique twist to this remarkable beverage.
So from China, tea journeyed west along the Silk Road. But how did it reach other parts of the world? Did it travel by sea as well?
Yes, indeed. While the Silk Road was a major route, tea also found its way across oceans. Buddhist monks played a key role in introducing tea to Japan in the 6th century CE.
Okay.
Initially, it was primarily used in religious rituals and associated with Zen Buddhism.
I've always been fascinated by the Japanese tea ceremony. The precision, the grace, the focus on harmony. It's almost like a form of meditation. What's the story behind this elaborate ritual?
The Japanese tea ceremony, known as chanyu or sado, evolved over centuries into a highly refined art form.
Wow.
It's not just about drinking tea.
Right.
It's about creating a mindful experience that emphasizes respect, tranquility, and appreciation for the simple beauty of everyday moments.
Mm.
Every element, from the whisk the chasen used to froth the matcha to the handcrafted tea bowl, the chawan, and the scroll, the kakimono displayed in the tea room, holds symbolic meaning.
It's amazing how tea, which started as a simple drink, became so deeply entwined with Japanese culture and spirituality. And speaking of Japan, we can't forget about those iconic green teas, sencha and matcha, right? What makes them so special?
Sencha, a steamed green tea known for its grassy and refreshing notes, is one of Japan's most popular teas.
Okay.
Matcha, on the other hand, is a powdered green tea used in traditional tea ceremonies. It has a slightly sweeter, more vegetal flavor and a vibrant emerald green color.
So while tea was becoming a cultural cornerstone in Japan, it was still largely a Chinese secret, right? How did the rest of the world catch on?
That's where our story takes a dramatic turn.
Ooh.
The rise of European exploration and trade in the 16th and 17th centuries
Okay.
brought tea to the West. Portuguese traders were among the first Europeans to encounter tea in China.
Okay.
They brought back tales of this exotic beverage,
Ooh.
sparking curiosity and a growing demand for tea in Europe.
So Europeans were introduced to tea through trade, but how did it become such a sensation, particularly in England? Was it love at first sip?
Not quite.
Oh.
Initially, tea was a luxury good in Europe, enjoyed mainly by the wealthy, but its popularity gradually spread, thanks in part to the influence of Catherine of Braganza,
Oh, wow.
a Portuguese princess who married King Charles II of England.
Okay.
She was a devoted tea drinker
Ah.
and is credited with popularizing tea among the English aristocracy.
So a royal trendsetter.
You got it.
It's amazing how one person's preference can have such a ripple effect on a nation's habits. But tea wasn't just a fashionable drink.
Right.
Didn't it also become like a symbol of British identity?
Absolutely. By the 18th century, tea drinking had become deeply ingrained in British culture. It was the drink of choice for all social classes, from elegant afternoon tea parties and aristocratic drawing rooms to humble gatherings in working-class kitchens.
It sounds like tea was really taking root in different parts of the world, each with its own unique twist. But I'm wondering, how did tea make its way to India? Weren't they already producing their own spices and beverages?
That's where we enter a fascinating chapter of tea's history,
Ooh.
a story of colonial ambition and the quest for economic dominance. You see, the British East India Company, eager to break China's monopoly on tea and secure a more reliable source of this lucrative commodity, set their sights on India.
Ah. So India's tea industry was essentially a British creation. That's a pretty significant impact considering how much tea India produces today.
Indeed.
Yeah.
The British saw India's vast land and diverse climates as ideal for tea cultivation.
Okay.
They experimented with different regions and varieties, eventually establishing sprawling tea plantations in Assam and Darjeeling.
Okay.
These regions had the perfect combination of soil, altitude, and rainfall
Wow.
to produce high-quality tea.
So the British essentially transformed India into a tea-producing powerhouse.
Right.
Shaping its economy and, I imagine, its culture as well.
That's exactly right. The introduction of tea plantations in India had a profound impact on the country's social and economic landscape. It created new industries, provided employment opportunities, and transformed vast stretches of land into tea-growing estates.
It's amazing how something as seemingly simple as a cup of tea can have such far-reaching consequences, shaping the destinies of entire nations. We've journeyed from China to Japan, across the Silk Road to Europe, and now to India.
Right.
Each location adding a new layer to the complex tapestry of tea's history.
And our journey is far from over.
Exciting.
As we'll discover, tea's story is full of unexpected twists and turns.
Okay.
From the invention of tea bags and iced tea to the unique tea traditions that emerged in regions like Tibet and Kashmir.
I can't wait to delve deeper into these fascinating stories.
Yeah,
but for now, let's take a pause and reflect on how tea has already shaped the world we know. From ancient rituals to global trade, from everyday comforts to grand ceremonies, tea has left its mark on every corner of the globe.
It's truly remarkable how a single leaf
Yeah.
can hold so much history, culture, and meaning.
Right.
And as we continue our deep dive, we'll uncover even more about the incredible journey of this extraordinary beverage.
I can't wait.
So as tea made its way around the world, it it encountered these diverse environments and cultures, right?
Right.
Which led to some truly fascinating adaptations.
That's what I love about this deep dive.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about like a drink, we're talking about how it reflects the ingenuity and creativity of different cultures.
Exactly. For example, let's take a trip to the Himalayas,
Okay.
to the high-altitude region of Tibet.
Right, the best.
Here, tea isn't just a beverage, it's a source of warmth and sustenance.
Oh, yes, Tibetan butter tea.
Yes.
I've heard about this. It's made with yak butter, right?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty intense.
It's definitely unique. Tibetan butter tea, or bosha, as it's known locally,
Okay.
is a hearty blend of strong black tea, yak butter, yak milk, and salt. Imagine, a rich, savory drink that's both energizing and comforting in the harsh Tibetan climate.
So it's like a meal in a cup.
It is.
I can see how that would be essential in a region with such extreme weather conditions.
Right.
Do they have any special rituals around preparing or serving this butter tea?
Definitely. The tea is often churned in a special cylindrical churn, which adds a frothy texture to the drink.
Okay.
And the teapots used for serving are often quite ornate, made from materials like silver or copper. This reflects the cultural significance of tea in Tibetan society.
It sounds like every aspect of Tibetan butter tea, from its ingredients to its preparation, is tailored to the environment and cultural traditions.
Mm-hmm.
It's a testament to human adaptability, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And it reminds us that tea isn't just a drink, it's a reflection of the people and places where it's enjoyed.
That's beautiful.
Speaking of unique tea traditions, let's shift our focus from the high mountains of Tibet to the lush valleys of Kashmir.
Kashmir. I've always been captivated by its beauty and cultural richness. I bet their tea traditions are equally fascinating.
They are.
What sets Kashmiri tea apart?
Kashmir is a land of diverse flavors, and their tea culture is no exception. They have a saying, in Kashmir, every gathering begins and ends with tea.
Wow.
And this tea isn't just like a casual beverage, it's an integral part of their hospitality and social customs.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more about these Kashmiri tea traditions.
Okay.
What kind of tea do they typically drink?
Imagine you're a guest in a Kashmiri home. You're greeted with a warm smile and a steaming cup of kawa.
Kawa.
It's a fragrant green tea infused with spices like cardamom, cinnamon, and cloves, and adorned with delicate slivers of almonds.
That sounds absolutely divine, like a warm hug in a cup.
It is. Kawa is considered a festive tea, often served during special occasions and celebrations. It's a symbol of hospitality and warmth, a way to welcome guests and create a sense of connection.
So kawa is the celebratory tea.
Right.
But what about everyday tea drinking in Kashmir? What do they enjoy on a regular basis?
For everyday moments, there's dabal chai.
Dabal chai.
It's a comforting blend of green tea leaves, milk, sugar, and a generous amount of cardamom. It's brewed in a special copper samovar, adding a unique, earthy note to the flavor.
So each tea has its own special occasion and brewing method.
Yeah.
It's like tea is woven into the very fabric of their lives.
Exactly. And then there's the most visually striking of Kashmiri teas, sheer chai, also known as pink tea.
Pink tea. Now that's something I've got to hear more about. What makes it pink?
Okay, so sheer chai
Yeah.
is brewed with green tea leaves, or a special type of oolong tea.
Okay.
The secret to its pink hue lies in the addition of baking soda and milk,
Oh, wow.
which react with the tea's natural pigments to
Yeah.
create that vibrant pink color.
That's incredible. It sounds as beautiful as it is delicious. Do they drink it hot or cold? And what kind of occasion calls for pink tea?
It's typically enjoyed hot, often for breakfast or as an afternoon treat. And the taste, well, imagine a creamy, slightly salty tea with subtle floral notes and a hint of nuttiness. It's a flavor that's both familiar and surprising.
Kashmiri tea culture sounds so rich and diverse. From the festive kawa to the comforting dabal chai and the visually stunning sheer chai, there's a tea for every mood and occasion.
Precisely. And it highlights how tea, while originating in China, has been embraced and reinterpreted by cultures around the world. Speaking of cultural crossroads, let's travel back to the Silk Road and visit the bustling city of Kashgar.
Kashgar, the heart of the Silk Road. I'm imagining like a vibrant marketplace.
Yes.
A melting pot of cultures and, of course, tea.
You're spot on. Kashgar was a major trading hub where merchants from east and west converged.
Wow.
And within this bustling city, a special kind of gathering place emerged. the chaikana.
Chaikana, I love that word. What exactly is a chaikana?
Think of it as a tea house,
Uh-huh.
but so much more than just a place to grab a drink. Chaikanas were social hubs,
Okay.
places where travelers could rest, share stories, exchange news, and of course, enjoy a cup of tea.
It sounds like the perfect place to unwind after a long journey along the Silk Road. Was there a particular type of tea that was popular in these chaikanas?
The Uyghur people, who are native to the Kashgar region, have their own unique ways of preparing tea.
Oh, cool.
They often brew it with milk, salt, and sometimes even butter, creating a rich and flavorful drink that's perfect for sharing with friends and strangers alike.
So from the yak butter tea of Tibet to the pink tea of Kashmir and the communal tea houses of Kashgar, we're seeing how tea has been adapted and celebrated in such diverse ways across Asia.
Exactly. Each region has taken this simple leaf and transformed it into something truly special, reflecting their own unique cultural identity and traditions.
And we're not done yet.
No, we're not.
Our journey through the world of tea will continue, exploring innovations, cultural significance, and the lasting impact of this remarkable beverage. So we've explored those ancient origins, followed the trade routes, and encountered those really unique tea traditions. But our deep dive wouldn't be complete without looking at how tea has evolved, right?
You're absolutely right. Well, the essence of tea, that steeping leaves in hot water, has remained constant.
Right.
There have been remarkable innovations throughout history.
Mm.
Think about it.
Yeah.
How did we go from those ancient tea bricks to the convenient tea bags we use today?
That's a good point. I kind of take tea bags for granted, but they
Yeah.
must have been revolutionary when they were first invented.
They were.
What's the story behind that?
Well, the invention of the tea bag, as with, many innovations,
Right.
was a bit of an accident.
Oh.
In the early 1900s, an American tea merchant named Thomas Sullivan
What?
started sending samples of tea in small silk pouches.
Okay.
Customers, assuming these pouches were meant to be steeped whole, dropped them directly into hot water.
Oh,
And voila, the modern tea bag was born.
what a happy accident.
Right.
It's amazing how something so simple could change the way we experience tea. And while we're talking about game changers, what about iced tea?
Oh, yeah.
That's an American invention that's taken the world by storm.
It has.
How did that come about?
Iced tea's origin story takes us back to the 1904 World's Fair
Okay.
in St. Louis, Missouri.
Oh, wow.
An Englishman named Richard Bleckenden was showcasing his black teas at the fair.
Okay.
But the sweltering summer heat wasn't exactly ideal for hot beverages.
No.
So, thinking on his feet, he decided to chill his tea and serve it over ice.
Smart.
It was an instant hit.
Talk about turning a challenge into an opportunity.
I know, right?
So from those accidental tea bags to a heat wave-inspired innovation, it's clear that necessity and a bit of ingenuity have played a role in tea's evolution.
Absolutely. And beyond these practical innovations, there's been this constant drive to create new flavors and blends.
Right.
Think about iconic blends, like Earl Grey tea
Oh, yeah.
infused with bergamot oil, or the explosion of flavored teas we see today. Everything from fruity infusions to spicy chai blends.
It's like tea provides this blank canvas for endless creativity.
That is.
But beyond the flavors and brewing methods,
Yeah.
I think what truly makes tea special is its cultural significance. It's more than just a drink.
Yeah.
It's like a symbol of hospitality, ritual, and connection, would you say?
You've hit the nail on the head. Think about the British tradition of afternoon tea.
Right.
It's not just about enjoying, a cuppa.
Right.
It's about taking a pause, engaging in conversation, and savoring those moments of shared connection.
It's like a ritual that brings people together. And I remember you mentioned the 3 cups of tea tradition along the Silk Road. Can you remind me about that?
Ah, yes. In many cultures along the Silk Road, there's this tradition of offering 3 cups of tea to guests.
Oh, right.
The first cup represents the arrival of a stranger. The second cup symbolizes that transition to friendship. And the third cup signifies the bond of family. It's a beautiful way to express hospitality and create a sense of belonging.
That's a lovely tradition. It speaks to the power of tea to bridge cultural divides and create those lasting bonds. And thinking back to the Chakas of Kashgar, those tea houses seem like a perfect example of tea's role as a social hub.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tea houses, whether they're, bustling chaikanas or tranquil Japanese tea rooms,
Right.
provide a space for community and connection. People gather to share news, discuss ideas, or simply enjoy each other's company over a steaming cup of tea.
It's amazing to think that a simple leaf can have such a profound impact on our lives, connecting us across cultures and generations. This deep dive has really, really opened my eyes to the richness and complexity of tea's journey.
And that's the beauty of exploration, isn't it?
It is.
We've journeyed from the mythical origins of tea in China to its, global presence today,
Right.
uncovering these fascinating stories of innovation, cultural adaptation, and the enduring power of human connection.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of wonder and appreciation for this remarkable beverage.
Yeah.
I know I'll never look at my daily cup of tea the same way again.
And I hope that next time you enjoy a cup of tea, you'll take a moment to savor not just its flavor,
Yeah.
but the incredible journey it represents. The journey of a leaf that has touched countless lives, sparked revolutions, and brought people together across time and continents.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this journey. I think I need a cup of tea now.